Welcome to the Compass Audiocast. I'm your host, Hawa Kombian. Prepare to revisit the compassionate wisdom many of us heard in our youth so that we can mindfully apply it to reimagine a future of work that we can all shape for the better. Thanks for being here with us again on another episode of the Compass Audiocast. Thrilled to have you here. So let's jump into today's quote. Courage makes everything look different. So when I was a child, this generally meant that it's important to have new experiences, even if they're scary, in order to help me reach my potential. And this was often something that I would hear parents or teachers say to me. What it meant when I started working was that I can be motivated by fear and lack or by love and hope. The choice is mine. The experience that I would like to share this week is that last week I was a moderator for this absolutely fire live virtual community session with OpenSpace Global. And it was all about the dynamic between employees and employers from an African perspective. People were raw, open, and candid, especially the women, about challenges at work and their willingness and courage to stand up and advocate for themselves in the workplace. This was such a refreshing stance because I know that personally and socially, many of us, myself included, have had fearful, scarcity, and not enoughness messages communicated to us about our place in the world, including work. And the problem that was really highlighted as we were having this open dialogue is that the definitions and requirements for collaboration and communication in the workplace are shifting. And that the more emphasis that's put on work, hustle, production, and profit means that there will be a natural and counterbalancing need for effective communication to achieve that success. And people are not scared to voice those communication needs and requirements for their leaders to rise to the occasion. And in terms of thinking about what this problem highlights in terms of where we're trying to go, given the times that we're in, it's important to recognize, and especially on the African continent, people are not these loyal soldiers who are staying at companies or institutions for 10, 15 years. Many have a clear sense of the transformational leadership they want to embody in their careers, or that they would like to experience. And so they are becoming more willing and more courageous to move to places that better support that, or better still, to take a chance on themselves at entrepreneurship. So the courage to speak up is increasing as we become more aware of dysfunctional systems that undervalue people in favor of processes and tools. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so that these messages can reach and support professionals and leaders as they navigate the workplace. So this conversation was such a gem, and people were telling kind of their war stories and revealing their battle scars from interactions in the workplace, both from the employee and the employer perspective. And particularly from the employee perspective, the stories that people shared essentially broke down to unhealthy communication patterns. Whether it was passive or straight up aggressive, ways of addressing issues or attempting to drive certain behaviors in the workplace were just ineffective. And the traditional power imbalances between hierarchical leaders and staff was often used as a basis to intimidate rather than as a foundation for mutual understanding, collaboration, and growth. That was really where the stickiness and the discomfort was routinely coming up for people who were sharing on that call. And where they were really wanting to get to was that while they could acknowledge the short-term impact and discomfort of that communication, in the long term, it was actually eating away at the trust and respect that they had for their leaders and their willingness to commit to the organization in the long term. So people generally were seeking environments more aligned to a compassionate and accountable communication style. And many were willing to address it directly with their often male leaders. And these insights are groundbreaking because they highlight a shift that the old ways aren't working anymore beneath the surface. So what has perhaps been normalized in our working cultures and ways of interacting isn't the same anymore. Interestingly, in the last week, Deloitte released their 2024 Gen Z and Millennial report, and it's crystal clear about the fact that more Gen Z workers are willing to leave roles based on poor leadership and misalignment. The loyalty and structure that was more valued and adhered to by older generations is turning into more flexibility around workplace relationships and career trajectory for the emerging generations. The people are seemingly less willing to outsource hard conversations to groups like HR and want more of a direct, respectful exchange when it comes to navigating the workplace. So that will also change the ways that employers and leaders interact with such feedback. And it highlights the collective need for a solid emotional intelligence practice from employers and employees. So from my perspective, this really speaks to the need for organizations to get their systems in order as we move through this digital revolution. Sure, align your tech, develop new processes, and don't leave your people behind, or they might just leave you. Leaders who are willing to reimagine and listen to the diverse social needs and context of their workforce are truly preparing for the future of work. All right, the part you've all been waiting for. What to do when a dose of courage is required at the workplace. So first, baseline. On the call, we chatted about the importance of your why. Why do you show up at work every day? To pay bills, to advance your skills, to network. Once you really know what your core driver is, it becomes easier to know what and how to advocate for your needs in a way that truly aligns with who you're growing into. Second, boundaries. In fact, on the call, I led with this specific point, that the healthiest workplaces establish a culture of boundaries, not for the sake of rigidity, but so that people know what's okay and what's not okay, both employers and employees. Case in point, your amount of pay is a boundary. It's an agreement. Your work hours, for some people, are a boundary. We need to extend this into relationships and ways of working with leaders so that what is and isn't respectful can be established, and so that all parties have the psychological safety to be courageous about their needs. Third, blessings. So when you've done the first two steps and your environment is giving you feedback, the choice is ultimately yours. At the end of the day, I would recommend doing an internal inquiry about whether your decisions about your work situation come from a place of fear, lack, scarcity, and not enoughness, or from a place of love, hope, optimism, and joy. There will probably be a mix here, and it will at least help keep you honest about what you're choosing in your career and help you determine how well those choices support your baseline and your boundaries. Is your team struggling to lead, communicate, and collaborate among distributed, virtual, and remote teams for results? At HKC, we enable you to co-create a dynamic and people-centered work environment where team members feel valued, motivated, and empowered to contribute their best efforts through leveling up key leadership behaviors, including strategic communication. Visit our website for more. So let's talk impact in your real day-to-day life. Courage absolutely makes everything look different. I've mentioned before that I've had so many personal and professional forks in the road where I was literally presented with the choice to continue on in a situation or go down an unknown path. And it's almost scarier to do something new when you know that you could lean back on the comfort of the familiar. However, for me, the goal was always growth. So being courageous was always going to enable my perspective to shift and expand in new ways, which was part of my baseline. And leaning into the courage has helped me move past one-sided relationships. It's helped me pivot into the leadership space, to start my own company, and to tell my stories about workplace heartbreak and shenanigans. And what for? All so that I could be here with HKC to collaborate with others who are on similar journeys and are seeking to expand the future of work. Thanks for tuning in to the Compass Audiocast, where we bridge past, present, and positive for the future of work. Please like this post if you found it useful, share it with someone who may need to hear it, and subscribe if you want to be notified when the next one comes out. Let's work together on your leadership, communication, and processes for more collaboration, agility, and empowerment for the future of work. Leave me a comment to share a time when you were courageous at work and where it led you. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.